So this was supposed to be the next installment in the sword refurbishment. Unfortunately, I'm still trying to find some information. The perils of dealing with machines that are fairly obscure and not a huge amount of people care about. But we will get onto that. We will get that sword, if not running, then at least have a really good explanation of why not. Preferably running, obviously. So instead we're going to concentrate on a machine which, if you saw my recent unboxing, you saw that I said I definitely wouldn't be touching until the sword was finished. So here we are then, the Sharp X1. You may or may not have heard of the Sharp X68000. This is really the precursor to that. This was Sharp's 8-bit offering, based around a Zilog Z80, as of course all the best 8-bit machines were. Okay, that's contentious. It was quite a powerful little beast with some decent graphics abilities, but yeah, not particularly well known. It's also incredibly heavy, which is why you've just seen a jump cut to get to the back part of it. Right, so we can see immediately some issues. A, it's not had a good life. That has been knocked about, scraped. If you look at the side here, it's had something heavy put on it and it's crumpled the metal to the point where it's actually deformed it somewhat. Although the plastic has remained remarkably in good shape, with a bit of cracking, but that's all. Back we can see it's definitely designed to be a games machine. It's got a joystick port. Yeah, the keyboard port, as you can see, has one at the front as well, is a 3.5mm jack. Fortunately I have the keyboard for this because they can be expensive. We can see numerous expansion capabilities, serial ports, printer ports, some video ports, more video ports there, TV control. There's one of those on the X8000 as well. You could also use these for TV production as well, that's part of that. And as happens a lot on auction machines, the power lead's been cut off, so that'll be one of the first things we deal with. But yeah, in general it's a nice looking machine, and hopefully we can get this one at least looking vaguely presentable. Now, as you probably saw in the initial intro video, one of the more obvious issues with this machine, oh god, it's so heavy, that's not the obvious issue, but it is right here, the power lead. Oh, there's stuff flying about inside there. We'll work that one out in a minute. The power lead here has been cut off. Now, so we have to replace that. We could potentially look into doing a whole PSU replacement, but to begin with, we just need to replace that lead. Now, obviously we need to replace it ideally with a Japanese lead, because we're going to have to, for the time being at least, run it at 100 volts. But to that end, quite easily, I found a N64 Japanese power supply. N64 power supplies, obviously, they just kind of slide out and you put in the power supply you need into the back. And from that, I have removed the Japanese lead. So we just need to replace this with what's left of that lead. So yeah, I guess what we're doing is remove my tea before we start spilling it everywhere. Is we are going to undo this, take a look inside, work out what the hell it is that's flying around inside. Probably pay, that's my watch is magnetic. This is metal. Work out what's rattling around inside, see if we can replace that and fix it. See what we can do about the side bit that's broken. I'll look at that later. And also work out how we're going to replace this. Right, let's get it undone. Right, well there we go. take a quick look at how that's been bent in. So we're going to have to straighten that up so that it lines up better. And it lines up well enough for the screws to go in, so that's something. Right, well, I mean, this is some hefty metal here. So it kind of feels like the machine inside is all right because, yeah, this huge metal bracketing was kind of fixing it. It's not even bent slightly. So I think we're going to be okay there. Now we have to remove the plastic because we're going to have to somehow fix... It's no lighter because there's so much metal. We're going to have to fix this bit, bend it back into place and glue it down. Oh my god. Hang on. And I guess we need to open up more because we need to get access to this power supply, and which is down here. Replace that power cable. We need to work out what's rattling around inside as well, so I guess we'll take a bit more apart. Alright, so we've taken it down this far. Two floppy disks have come out. There's a little bit of corrosion on both of them around the motor, but not terrible. They'll need the usual greasing up and head cleaning. I'll probably replace at least one of them with a Gotek anyway. This is the thing that's been flying around. Kind of suspecting it's something to do with, yeah, the speaker. You know, the speaker's moving around, so I guess so. Yeah, looks like the clip for the speaker. So, mystery solved. I guess we just clip that back in actually. Why not? It does seem to just bend and clip. Alright, so I think maybe, yeah, it's just taking a knock from the bottom. There you go, that's back in place. And that looks like that's the only thing really that's taken any major knock. Well, on the inside anyway, obviously the outside does. So we need to remove bits of plastic in there, we know that though. We need to remove all these bits so we can get rid of this plastic. The plastic is now basically off. So yeah, how do we remove the power supply is the other question. Still seeing, maybe there's, I don't think there are any more screws on the bottom, but we'll take a look. But that's all fairly, like a lot of these machines that we've seen, they're very complicated machines, but they're very modularly put together, so it actually kind of makes everything a little bit easy. So anyway, let's work out what we can do next to take this apart. We can remove the keyboard cable from there. Let's get rid of this bar first. You can, that looks like it's plugged. We'll try. Oh, light comes off. There we go. Handy. That makes things a lot more accessible. So we can view back there a bit and then just kind of pull off this. Is that the keyboard connector? That's the keyboard connector. I believe that is, yeah. So, come on. There you come. There we go. That's one off. That's another one here that we can remove. We should take a photo. gaskets can be removed. Look at that. Plastics are out, so now we can kind of do some more stuff with this now, which is good. Needs a bit of a clean. Needs this bit here needs to be repaired, which is going to be a little tricky. It's definitely bent itself up somehow. Whatever that collision did. So I'm going to have to clamp that and glue it. Maybe even use some kind of ABS welding on it. But anyway, that's something you can do. You know what, we're going to put these screws, these giant ones, back in so we know where they came from. We've seen some more broken bits here. So this is bits of plastic, I guess clips and stuff have kind of broken off. We'll keep the shards just in case, but it's unlikely we're going to really be able to reconnect them. More of this side as well. There we are. So that's all the clips, I guess, from the bottom of the... Yeah, that's all the clips from the bottom, which is taking a whack. It's just kind of forced it out and broken all the clips. Not massively important. It screws down as well, so that's not terrible. So this is the front panel board here. Unfortunately, unlike everything else, I guess it probably disconnects from further inside the machine. But everything else was kind of had pins here, which would let it disconnect. It's a shame it wasn't the same, but that's not a problem. That's fine. Right, so I guess we need to work out how to remove this power supply first. Screw back there. So now this should just come out without any real problems. Apart from trying to drag quite a lot of the cables along with us. Right, let's come on, get organised. There we go. We have the power supply out. Oh, the power supply is rattling like a good one, so this might not be a good sign. Let's kind of put you in the correct area, more or less. Move you there. Nope. The size of the machine is kind of making it difficult to get decent angles. Tell you what, you go underneath the bench for now. There we are. Lots of black plastic has flown out. Does that mean the fan doesn't look like it's been sheared? Anyway, let's dismantle the fan, the power supply even. I guess technically both. When you want to remove the screws, we have to remove. Right, well, finally off. Yeah, that was unpleasant. Okay, well, we can see what we've actually removed here. We just removed some heat sinks for some of the power regulators. So we can... Where do they go? Oh, they go just... Okay, interesting. They go across. You know what, I'm going to add those back in. So yeah, there we go. You might just be able to see them. It's kind of down here. They were just pushing the voltage regulators against the heatsink compound and the metal, just so they made contact, and they were incredibly annoying to get back in place, but that's done now. Anyway, we have some fuses. What we need to do is... Okay, so yeah, it's all soldered onto the plug, so let's zoom you in a bit. So all this power lead, so here's our power lead, and it's soldered into the plug here. Yeah, one for either side. So what we've got to do is remove this, desolder this, and then solder our cable into its place. It shouldn't matter which side it go on, it's an AC connection. They've got one with a line going that side, we've got one with a line on this lead, so they just put them in the same place. Right, let's go and do that. Alright, so with a little bit of force we took this cable stress relief off. It's a bit mangled, but it'll probably still work for our one. So now all we have to do, now that it's clear, is desolder these two cables from here and then solder ours on in place. Right, I'm going to take this switch off anyway, off this front panel. There we are. That'll make it a little bit easier to desolder. It's quite long, it's hitting everything. Without having to remove the whole thing from the actual board here. So it's still not going to be easy by any means, but should just require a little bit of heat. Right, okay, well that took a long time. But we now have, you can see there, two pretty clean holes. Yeah, the one on this side had so much old solder on it that I was having to hold the solder iron for so long I was worried about melting the switch, but I think we're still good. So now we just need to connect our two wires on there. Now our two wires are, we still have kind of this strain relief and these connectors on. So I think we're just gonna cut it here. It should be fine. It's plenty long enough. There we go, cut and stripped. So now we just need to put those into there. Again, it shouldn't really matter which side they go on. It's an AC connector, so polarity doesn't make a huge amount of difference. So make sure it's not touching anything it shouldn't be. So just put them through and then just half bend them over like that. Country the wires together. There we are. We'll just be able to pour some solder in. Go, that should hold that. Let's do the other side. Taking components all over. Let's save all these components up. Don't need to save half of them. I don't even know what their screws are for. This a bit more tightly. That's in. Same again. Pour some solder in. A bit more on this side. in case the strain release fails. Right. Talking of strain relief, we forgot to put it on before we sold those in. So I guess we're unsoldering those then. So this time we need to thread these cables through the strain relief. So, and then thread them through the door here. Right, now we can go and solder them on. So what happens when you're not paying attention. Right. Now we should test it to make sure we haven't broken anything. So just set the multimeter to continuity mode, and we've got continuity between those two. Yeah, and between those two. And if we switch it that way, none and none. So switch it back again. Continuity. Continuity. Right, switch is working. Awesome. Let's turn that off. Well, let's put it back together again. There's no need to watch to show that. Alright, done. Well, this part's done anyway. The hardest bit was this strain relief. It's quite hard to get in. Obviously, it's going to be hard to get out. In the end, I had to resort to slightly specialist tools to do it. And we're in there. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's all in place. Right. So let's get this power supply properly back together again, and then we'll go back to the other bench. Okay. So yeah, obviously another series, but we'll intersperse this one with the sword one. So hopefully we'll have two working machines in relatively short space of time. This one I don't think will take as long. There's a lot more information about the X1 out there than there is the sword M68, and also software as well, and working GoTech solutions. So with any luck, we'll get that one working probably first. The sword might take a little bit longer, but soon, two working new machines, so I think that'll be quite interesting. So anyway, our power supply is back together. We've got a nice new power cable connected to it. We need to work out that it's okay, so we're going to be testing these voltages. A lot of them we'll be able to work out because these are obviously standard floppy drive connectors, so that should be 12 volts ground and 5 volts, so that should let us at least test those rails. And there are some different colours on this one, so if the coloration's right, we're going to go ahead and assume that's one of the minus rails. Probably minus 12, but we'll have to take a look. As long as they're close to that, then we know we've got a power supply we can rely on. If not, things get a bit trickier, because I did notice one of these rails is AC, so it looks like this machine does pass AC straight into the boards. Bit of a problem, but hopefully not insurmountable. There may be information about replacing the power supply for these online. Like I say, there's a lot more information about the X1s. They're a much more popular machine. So that's part one done. So we've opened it up, we've taken a look, we've assessed the damage. We have replaced the power cord on the power supply, our first little bit of refurbishment. Are we going to do the case on this one? I don't know. I mean, getting that maroon colour is going to be difficult, and it's definitely going to need some respraying to get it back to its former glory. I do want to do that, but it might be a longer term project to get it actually looking perfect. We can though get it all cleaned up, and we can fix that plastic bezel and the front parts of it just so they look nicer, and hopefully we'll try and rebend the metal casing back in so it looks a bit straighter. But otherwise, hopefully we're going to get this thing running. Yeah. Alright. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit like. If you really enjoyed the video, please hit subscribe. If you didn't enjoy the video, or you have something else to say, then please leave it in the comments below. And don't forget to hit the bell icon if you want to be told about upcoming parts to this, or the sword rebuild, or indeed other videos, which we'll probably intersperse them with, because we don't want to keep doing these long running series without any breaks. Anyway, see you next time.